It's 4 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The first thing on the agenda is election of a chair. We're going to elect a chair for January 10th, 23 meeting. I have a motion moved by Susan Irwin, seconded by Lynn Plagas, that Philip Smith act as chair for this meeting. All in favor? Carried.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda as amended. And where's our resolution? First,
We should do that.
sorry, this is my first time, so we're a little bit out of order.
Should have maybe did before I started.
Okay. So we have a statement to read. Welcome to the hybrid and in-person virtual meeting of the Committee of Adjustments for the Township of Central Frontenac. Just so everyone is aware, members of the public may join in person or virtually. For those of you who may be new to the Committee of Adjustments, my name is Philip Smith, and I'm the chair of the committee for this evening. We also have Dan Meeks. Dan, if you can identify yourself. Bill Everett. Lynn Plagas. Cindy Kelsey is joining us online.
Hi, everyone.
Craig Middleton. Susan Irwin. Nikki Gowdy. Cindy Deachman. Our deputy clerk will be assisting us as the meeting host. We are also joined by planning staff. Okay, at this time, if the county staff could identify themselves, please.
Oh, sorry. Hi, my name is Jenny Kabusta. I'm the community planner with County of Frontenac, and we provide planning services for Central Frontenac.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Sonia Bolton. I'm the manager of community planning for the county and work with Jenny.
Thank you. The format of the meeting will follow the agenda posted online, which can be found on the township's website. Staff have also prepared a presentation for everyone to follow along with during the meeting. This will be shown on the screen. For each application with a public hearing, we will follow this format. I, as the chair, will introduce the file so that everyone knows where we are on the agenda. The planner will provide an overview of the application. We will then ask if there are any comments from the applicant, their agent. Committee members will then be asked staff and the applicant of their agent questions if there are any. The public will then have the opportunity to ask questions. I encourage you to ask any questions and that you feel comfortable with the new process. The committee will then deliberate and vote on the application. Voting will take place with members of the committee raising their hands. I will then state whether the vote was carried. All members of the public will have an opportunity to provide comments on the new applications. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the meeting or make written submissions to the township before a decision is made, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. Township staff will be in touch following the meeting and will be forwarding a copy of the decision within 15 days to the applicant and anyone who has requested to be notified. Should you have any questions after the meeting, we encourage you to reach out to staff. The applicant, the minister, or any other person or public body who has an interest in the matter may, within 20 days of making the decision or date of notice, appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal against the decision of the committee by filing with the Secretary Treasurer of the committee a notice of appeal. I will now ask Cindy Deachman to provide an overview of how members attending virtually can participate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When the meeting is open to the public, the chair will ask a member of the public if they have any questions or comments. Members of the public attending virtually will be asked to use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the screen. This alerts the chair that you would like to speak. Staff will notify the chair that someone is wanting to speak, and then we will proceed to unmute your microphone. As a member of the public, you will receive notification that your microphone has been unmuted. Please wait a second after unmuting your microphone before speaking. If you're calling in by phone, please use the *9 feature when you would like to raise your hand during the meeting. You will then hear a prompt on the phone that you have raised your hand, and we will be notified when your microphone has been unmuted. This afternoon, it looks as though we have 2 attendees virtually and 3 in person. Back to you.
In the unlikely account that we have connection issues and the meeting cannot be restored within 15 minutes, the meeting will be postponed and staff will be in touch with each applicant. A notice will also be posted on the township social media letting you know. We'll carry on with the agenda.
And she'll let us know she has objection.
So back to the agenda, item number 3, approval of the agenda as amended. It's moved by Bill and seconded by Lynn. All in favor? Carried. Item number 4, disclosure of pecuniary interests and general natures thereof. Do we have any this evening? We'll note that there are none in the minutes. And then we have the approval minutes or no?
You just have to ask. Well, I don't have a.
There's no motion for, no minutes.
Oh, yeah, they're usually. Yeah, I know.
Okay. What's the date of that meeting?
That's for November.
November 10th? I'm just gonna move that and that's an initial second. Sorry for my sloppy writing. So moved by Susan and seconded by Lynn that the minutes of the November 10th, 2022 Committee of Adjustments meeting be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. And there are no deferred items to come before the committee. And item number 7, applications for consent. The first application we'll be hearing is B33-22-HI, Hamilton Lot Edition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This application is an application for lot addition to an existing developed parcel. The proposed lot addition parcel is about 1.5 acres in area, and the benefiting parcel is just under 1 acre in area. Both the benefiting and lot addition are designated rural and zoned rural, and there is no structures identified on the lot addition parcel. There is a map water body and water course noted at the north end of the retained parcel, but that is I would say, significant distance greater than 300 meters from the lot addition parcel. Here on this next slide, you can see the lot addition parcel has actually already been surveyed and is identified as part 2 on this survey, and is to be added to the yellow square on here, which is part 6, which is the existing lot. Here on the air photo, you can see the existing small lot is residentially developed and frontage on Road 38. The lot addition parcel will just extend that lot line all the way to the back and add in this hatched yellow area, which will more than double the size of the lot, bringing it into conformity with the provisions of the zoning bylaw. There's no new development proposed for that lot addition parcel at this time or for the enlarged parcel. As there is no development on that lot addition parcel and no septic systems in the vicinity, there is no comments regarded from the Septic Approval Authority, Township of South Frontenac, And the application was circulated to Quinty Conservation for information. They chose not to provide any formal comments on this application. There were no public comments received regarding the application. Planning staff's recommendation is that hear any comments from the public if there are any today, and that the committee approve this applications with the conditions noted in the planning report, including standard conditions as surveyor legal description of the lot addition parcel, any outstanding taxes on the subject property, and all conditions and certificate official must be signed within 2 years of the decision.
Thank you. At this time, we'll ask if there's any comments from the applicant or their agent. Is there any questions or comments from members of the committee? No? Do we have anybody in the public, Cindy, that's
I don't think our mics are working.
Cindy, are you able to hear us online?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. It's just there's no volume in the hall, so wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, if I disagree with anything, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
So there's no one virtually who wishes to speak?
Just procedurally wise, read the entire motion. Okay. So moved by Lynn and seconded by Bill, the consent application B33-22-HI Hamilton for the property located at Part Lot 6, Concession 2 in the geographic township of Hinchinbrook for a 0.66 hectare, 1.64 acre parcel as a lot addition be approved, subject to the conditions noted in the planning report. That the Secretary Treasurer shall issue a notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of decision to the applicant, any person or public body that made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed, and that all conditions outlined in the notice of decision shall be completed, and that the certificate of official issued within a period of 2 years after the notice of decision was issued as required by the Planning Act. All in favor? Carried. The next item on our agenda is 7B, application B3422 OL, Hall Green, creation of a new lot.
Do you guys want to come up, sit up here? If you have any questions? You good, Leah?
Okay, and we'll ask whoever the planner is.
That would be me again. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an application for the creation of a new lot that will have frontage on Tryon Road. The existing property is municipally known as 1898 Tryon Road. The proposed severed parcel will have a 89 meters or so, 89 meters or 292 feet of frontage on Tryon Road, and will be about 4 acres or a hectare and a half in area, with the retained parcel being 18 acres or 7.6 hectares in area. Both properties are designated rural and zoned rural with no changes to that zoning proposed. Special features or other things. There's a non-regulated wetland that was identified within the proposed severed parcel. That was identified by Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority. There were no concerns noted with regards to that, but it was noted there is one that is not regulated by them. On the retained parcel, there is a regulated wetland. There's a mapped water body at the rear of the property where the property abuts into Crown land with some ponds and other natural features. Here on the next side, you can see the red is the retained property and the proposed lot is this yellow corner that's going to come out here. This application was circulated for review by the Septic Approval Authority, who indicated no objection to the application as submitted, as is common in the township. Importation of granular soil may be required to support the septic system. However, specific requirements will be addressed at the time of any building permit application. This was circulated to Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority for review. As I noted before, they did identify a small non-regulated wetland in approximately this area where my cursor is on the map, fairly close to the road, but they were satisfied that this objection or this application meets their intent. as there's sufficient area outside the 30-meter setback from that non-regulated wetland for development. Due to the configuration of Tryon Road with some turns in it in this area, Township Public Works did go out to confirm there was a location for a driveway entrance that was safe and met the requirements for an entrance permit. They determined that based on the location of that wet area and the different conditions, as I noted, the existing driveway for the retained parcel will be very close to the proposed lot line. And Public Works recommends the driveway for the severed parcel be in approximately the same location so that both driveway entrances will be in close proximity to one another with options for different addresses. They won't be a shared driveway, but they will be fairly close to each other. There is no public comments received with regards to this application. Planning staff are recommending approval of the application as submitted, subject to the conditions in the planning report, which include a survey of the new lot, road widening as determined by the surveyor at the time of the survey of the new lot, parkland fee, paying any outstanding taxes on the subject property, and again, all conditions completed within 2 years. Here on this next slide is the aerial, so you can kind of see there's the water body at the rear, and that's where the crown land is. And there's some not wetlands that are regulated in the retained parcel, but nothing regulated in the severed parcel.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions from the applicant or their agent? Good. Are there any questions or comments from committee members? Is there anybody online wishing to comment?
If there's anyone online wishing to speak, you can use the raise hand feature. I see no one.
So this is moved by Lynn and seconded by Bill that consent application B 34-22-OL Hall Green for the property located at Part Lot 9, Concession 8 in the geographic township of Olden for a 1.66 hectare, 4.1 acres parcel as a new lot be approved, subject to the conditions noted in the plan report. That the Secretary Treasurer shall issue a notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing that the notice of decision to the applicant, any person or public body that made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed. And that all conditions outlined in the notice of decision shall be completed, and that certificate of official issued within a period of 2 years after the notice of decision was issued, as required by the Planning Act. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. The next item on our agenda this evening is item 8, application for a minor variance. Application number A-19-22 to Clute and Cook, reduction of a water body setback.
Thank you again. That is me today. This is a application, I would say, minor variance slash permission application, which are slightly different. So this would be considered actually an application for permission under section 45.2, which only has 2 questions that need to be answered rather than a minor variance, which has the 4 questions of a minor variance to be answered. So I'll work through with this, everybody. So this property is known as either 351 Sherbet Lake, but more commonly known as Island H in Sherbet Lake. And it's located in the west basin of Sherbet Lake, which has been identified by the province as a at capacity lake trout lake. So there are additional development considerations and restrictions, including location of septic systems, limitations on new lot creation, things like that on an at capacity lake. And when there is development proposed on an at capacity lake, the township policies require the preparation of an environmental impact assessment or environmental impact statement prepared by a qualified individual that will assess the proposal and determine if there are any anticipated negative impacts, and if there are, what mitigation measures could be undertaken in order to limit the impact of the development on the property while still permitting the property owners to develop and enjoy their own properties. So this proposal is for expanding a non-complying structure from a current, I'll say current, I'll explain that in a bit more, total footprint of 138 square meters or just under 1,500 square feet. And they will, that footprint will be expanded to 157.6 square meters or just under 1,700 square feet. And that footprint for the structure does include all attached decks, open, uncovered, any porches, anything like that. So footprint is everything, not just the interior living space. The way that the proposal is to convert one of the existing open decks and an open porch into interior living space, reconstruct and expand a second uncovered deck that is attached to the dwelling, and construct a covered deck / green porch addition to that expanded uncovered deck. More details to follow on all of these again. The proposal also includes a reduction in the minimum setback to Sharbot Lake from 16.6 meters to 16 meters. So that's an expansion of the deck width by 2 feet closer to the lake on one side. There'll be no further encroachment on the opposite side of the dwelling because the porch where that interior living space is already part of the footprint. They're just converting its use from outside space to inside space. Another thing that we would like to note is part of this application is recognizing construction that had already started and obtaining permission both for that construction and for the remaining planned construction on the property. So the applicant had undertaken some of this and started this without any planning approvals or building permits. There was a bylaw complaint with regards to this, and the CBO had visited the property to determine what was going on. A stop work order was placed on the property, and the applicant did cease work at that time and consulted with building department, township, and planning staff to determine what the next steps were to appropriately get approvals, or at least apply for approvals for what they would like to do on the property. They retained Ainley Group to prepare an environmental impact assessment and submitted that in support of this application. As I noted, because the subject property is within an at capacity lake, Trout Lake. So here on the next slide, I'm terming it more as a existing. This is the layout of the structure before any construction was undertaken. So at that point, there is the main cottage area in the middle here. At the front, you had a laundry room that was part of the interior space and a small 5 foot by 5 foot porch. And that 5 foot by 5 foot porch is the part that will be converted into interior living space to be added as part of the main cottage. The cottage was irregular and shaped with an open deck in one corner. That deck has been converted and enclosed and covered and will be added into the living space of the cottage so that the interior living space is more squared off rather than the irregular shape it was. There'll be no increase in bedrooms, bathrooms, plumbing fixtures, or anything like that. It's more a square footage. They're going to reorganize and move things around, enlarge the living room, but the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and sinks and things, anything that's in there will stay the exact same as what it is today. I'd also like to note that this 15-foot measurement on the side is not correct. It actually should only extend to where the cottage is. That 15-foot doesn't include the deck. We'll see more on the next one. It was a bit confusing if you think that it was 15 feet and then it became 15 feet plus 12 feet. It's not. That was a mistake on the sketch submitted with the application. Here on the next slide, you can see, and thanks for the applicant color coding this. It does make it a little bit easier to understand things. So you can see the green is the existing interior living space. The two red areas are the outside spaces that have become inside space. Again, this is saying the new living space is 80 square feet at this bottom part. It's actually 25 because it's only the 5 by 5 porch that wasn't interior that now will be an interior space. There is an existing deck on this side of the property that was about 260 square feet will be reconfigured to 288 square feet. Again, and that's a 2-foot encroachment further towards the water. So it had a width of 10 feet initially and has been expanded to be 12 feet. At this end, the deck was not there. There was a freestanding kind of store-bought gazebo, not a permanently constructed structure. And the applicants have constructed this decking surface across the entire part of the cottage. And this will have a new roof over, possibly also screen walls. So that's why planning staff said covered deck / screen porch, because they may have the screens that you kind of put in the summer and you can take out. They're not like real walls. It's not glass. It's nothing like that. It would just be somewhere out of the bugs in the seasons that you need that most. Here on the next slide, you can see it is on an island. So further encroachment's almost inevitable. You can only do so much. There was a septic system on this property when the applicants bought it. However, it really wasn't functioning properly. So as part of this renovation and proposal, what they have is a gray water system on the site now. And they're installing composting toilets in the cottage to take care of the black water part of it. So as I noted, there was an environmental impact assessment submitted in support of this application. And before this was circulated for public meeting or review by any agencies, the application and the EIS was circulated to the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, as they have jurisdiction on any lake trout lake designated lakes. So they reviewed both the application and the EIS. And in email correspondence back from them, they noted that the proposal represents a net benefit to the local environment. As I noted, composting toilets versus a malfunctioning class 4 septic system. They see that as a benefit, as one of the big things in previous conversations we've determined is on lake trout lakes, one of the biggest issues is phosphorus and leachate from septic systems getting in, causing problems. So replacing a malfunctioning system with an enclosed composting toilet system and gray water was beneficial in the eyes of the MECP. They also said it is minor in nature due to majority of the increase being conversion of existing footprint into living space or other things. And it keeps in current condition. As I said, most of it's the existing footprint. There's minor expansions, but it was in keeping with the other residential development in this area of Sharbet Lake. This was not circulated to the Township of South Frontenac or Septic Approval Authority. As I indicated, there's no increase in fixtures proposed. The composting toilets being used with the existing gray water system will remain in place. And as per the EIS, there will be no increase in bedrooms as well as the fixtures. This was circulated to Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority for review, along with the EIS and the comments from MECP. Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority was not in support of the application as submitted. They did recognize that overall the proposed footprint increase with the deck expansion and the construction of the covered deck is considered minor. Further, that reduction to that water body setback for development is unavoidable due to the property being an island. Any way you go, you're going to get closer, because when you're in the middle and you go out, there's only one way to get, and that's closer to the lake. However, that being said, they did suggest that there would be no further water body setback reduction as a result of the application, and to replace the covered deck area where the gazebo was with a 4-foot wide walkway, and that would facilitate connections between the interior living space and the deck on the end. That was the suggestion of the Conservation Authority. Again, however, looking through all of the things, taking everything into account, I said there's no public comments received with regards to this application. So planning staff took all these comments into consideration and reviewed the applicable township and county policies. Recommendation from planning is that the committee hear any comments from the public and approve the application as submitted, subject to the conditions in the planning report, which includes several of the recommended mitigation measures from the EIS, including the construction as proposed in the application, silt sediment control being used during construction until any vegetation has been restabilized and revegetated, minimize exposed soils, and any excavated materials need to be stored north of the dwelling. maximizing that water body setback with runoff contained until those materials can be moved off site to an appropriate disposal location.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions from the applicant or their agent?
If the applicants do wish to speak, can you use the raise hand feature? I think they were mainly going to be just answering questions and if there was any. They've not raised their hand.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the committee members? Go ahead, Craig.
So we are going to be voting on what the people want, not the walkway. Correct. Okay.
Any further questions? Can I just ask about the gray water system and
Mhm.
if it needs to be looked at as being okay?
Can I answer that?
Sure.
So at the time of issuing a building permit, Andy will make sure that it's been looked at properly before he can issue one. Building permit has already been issued for the renovation part of it, but not for any of the new addition parts or anything like that. So if Andy feels septic reevaluation is needed at that time, then he will have them get that prior to issuing the permit for this new stuff.
Are there any questions from the public?
I believe it's just the applicants that are on the line, but if there is anyone who wishes to speak, you can use the raise hand feature. I see no one.
I'll read the lengthy motion. Moved by Bill, seconded by Dan. In making the decision upon this application, the committee considered whether the permission to extend a legal non-compliant structure is desirable for the appropriate development of the subject property and if the application would result in any undue adverse impacts on the surrounding properties and neighborhood. And if the application conforms to the requirements of subsection 42(2) of the Planning Act, concur in the following decision and reason for the decision. That permission application A-19-22 Cook to Clute for the property located at Olden Island H in Charlotte Lake in the geographic township of Olden to enlarge an existing non-compliant structure through the construction of additions to the existing structure as follows. 1, 19.3 square meters, 208 square feet, interior living space addition to the south side of the dwelling that squares off the dwelling. This addition was an existing uncovered and unenclosed deck that was enclosed and incorporated into the interior living area. There was no increase in total footprint for this addition and no further reduction in water body setback. 2, 2.3 square meters, 25 square feet addition to the north side of the dwelling. This addition was an open porch that was enclosed and incorporated into the interior living area. There was no increase in total footprint for this addition and no further reduction in water body setback. 3, reconstruction of an enlarged and existing uncovered and unenclosed deck located on the south side of the dwelling. The existing deck has an area of 25.1 square meters, 270 square feet, and the reconstructed deck has an area of 26.8 square meters, 288 square feet. The reconstructed deck will extend 0.6 meters, 2 feet closer to Charlotte Lake, being approved subject to the conditions and reasons noted in the planning report. And that the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of decision to the applicant, any person or public body that made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed. This last paragraph as well.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
That's fine, if that's all we need.
Please.
Okay. And being approved, subject to the conditions. All in favor? Carried. Sorry, we were missing a little snippet at,
Jenny can read it. Number 4.
Hi, sir. There's supposed to be a fourth item added to the resolution to clarify what the gazebo was. And number 4 on there was replace the existing freestanding gazebo with a 17.8 square meter, 192 square foot covered deck / screen porch. It's attached to the dwelling. The flooring of the screen porch will be decking and tied into the uncovered reconstructed deck. And this construction will be in line with the uncovered deck portion. So that part will be added into there because I realized as you were reading through that 3 of the 4 proposed additions got put in and the 4th one didn't, but we are recommending approval with that additional wording in there.
okay, thank you. So with the addition of number 4, can I re-ask the question then that all are in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Oh, I'll just take it.
Is there any other planning business to come before the committee? No?
The only other planning business, I believe Cindy would like to confirm everybody's attendance at the upcoming Committee of Adjustment training. This is joint training that the county's putting on for committees of adjustment throughout all of the townships of the county. It is the evening of February 1st. Yes, I believe.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. And the reason we need to know is because we're providing dinner, so it's important to.
Yes,
you want
it is an
that.
evening thing, but we will feed you and hopefully get you fully informed in everything. So that more of the things that we're saying make sense.
Is there anyone not planning on being there in person? That's probably the easiest way to. You're not sure? Okay, okay, thank you.
Can you confirm the time it starts?
I think is it 5 or 4? I mean, just
I
double
have
check.
it written down at 4, but
I-
then when you said evening, I thought, oh.
Yeah, I think it is 4. Let me see here. Sonia's on, she probably knows off the top of her head, but
Everybody, yeah, it starts at 4 o'clock. So the goal is to start at 4 and end by 7 with a break in between for some dinner.
The location of that meeting, please?
it's right here.
Okay, thanks.
So no traveling to Verona, it's here, so.
You guys are fantastic. We picked the most central location, so people coming from north and south, all that, so it will be right there.
So if there's nothing else to come before the committee, then there is a motion, resolution moved by Dan and seconded by Bill that this meeting be adjourned until 4 p.m. February 9th, 2023, virtually and in person at the Oso Hall, 1107 Garrett Street, Sherwood Lake. All in favor? Carried. Thanks for calling in, Cindy.
No problem.
All right, have a good night, everyone.